They see the smile you wear, the mask you've perfected, the way you keep the cracks hidden beneath layers of control. They call it strength, but it's survival. They cheer for your victories, oblivious to the battles you fight in silence. Your hell is invisible, a prison without walls. It's the place where every scream echoes back, unheard and unanswered. They wouldn't last a day inside your mind, but they dare to judge you from the safety of their ignorance. People love to talk about pain as if it's universal, as if everyone suffers the same. But pain isn't shared. It's solitary. What eats at you in the dead of night is unique, a monster tailored just for you. The world doesn't see your monster. It sees the armor you've forged to keep it at bay. And they envy that armor, don't they? They mistake it for invincibility. They don't realize it's held together by desperation and rage, that every piece was hammered out in the fire of your own torment. They offer advice, as if words could ever tame the chaos inside you. Stay strong, they say, not realizing you've been strong for so long it's become exhausting. Things will get better, they promise, unaware that better is just another word for different shades of the same misery. Their well-meaning platitudes fall like ash, weightless and meaningless. They don't understand that your hell isn't something you escape. It's something you carry every day, every step, every breath. People like to think they've seen darkness, that they've suffered enough to understand. But your hell isn't just darkness. It's layers of it, each one heavier than the last. It's the kind of darkness that swallows light, that twists hope into something unrecognizable. And yet, here you are, walking through it, refusing to fall. They think it's resilience, but it's something far more primal. It's survival. It's the refusal to let the world consume what's left of you. The funniest part is how they romanticize your struggle. They see your scars as proof of strength, as if the wounds themselves are something to admire. But scars aren't symbols of triumph. They're reminders. Every line etched into your soul is a story of something you had to endure, something that took a piece of you and never gave it back. They don't know that some scars don't heal, that some wounds stay open just beneath the surface, waiting for the slightest touch to bleed again. Your hell is a place of paradoxes. It's where the fire burns cold, where silence is deafening, where emptiness feels suffocating. And yet, it's also where you've learned the most about yourself. It's taught you how to endure, how to adapt, how to keep going when everything inside you screams to stop. They think your strength comes naturally, but it's been carved out of suffering, one agonizing lesson at a time. Your hell isn't just a curse, it's a forge. They'll never understand the weight of carrying your own demons while pretending everything is fine. It's a balancing act, walking the tightrope between holding it together and falling apart. They see you standing, and they think you're whole, but you know the cracks are there, just beneath the surface. And yet, those cracks are where the light gets in, aren't they? Or maybe not light. Maybe just enough fire to keep you burning, to keep you moving forward. What they don't realize is that your hell has made you dangerous. You've walked through flames they can't even imagine, and you've come out the other side, not unscathed, but unbroken. Pain doesn't just destroy, it transforms. It sharpens the edges, hardens the core. They don't know that your hell hasn't just wounded you, it's armed you. Every scar is a weapon, every memory a shield. They see your pain and think it's a weakness, but it's the source of your power. Your hell isn't something they'll ever understand, and that's fine. It's not for them to understand. It's yours, as much a part of you as the air you breathe. It's shaped you, defined you, turned you into something they can't comprehend. And maybe that's the point. They don't need to know your hell. They just need to know that you've survived it, that you've walked through the fire and come out the other side, not as a victim, but as something stronger, sharper, untouchable. So let them judge, let them whisper, let them speculate. They don't know your hell, and they never will. And that's their weakness, not yours. Because you've lived in the flames, and now you burn with a fire they can never extinguish. Sympathy is the most dangerous illusion. You think it's a balm, a comfort, a reprieve from the storm inside you. But sympathy is a razor in a velvet glove. It cuts deeper than cruelty ever could, because it strips you of power while pretending to offer care. The moment you explain your suffering to gain understanding, you hand over the weapon they'll use against you. Sympathy isn't solace, it's control. And the ones who offer it are often the ones who revel in your weakness. When you bear your pain, seeking validation, the world doesn't hear your story, it hears an opportunity. People don't respect vulnerability, they exploit it. They see your open wounds and lick their lips, eager to find ways to twist your suffering into their own advantage. They'll say they care, but care is just a mask for the pity they feel. And pity is poison. It erodes your strength, your dignity, until all that's left is a shadow of who you were. Explaining yourself is like throwing blood into the water. The sharks circle, pretending to be saviors, but their intentions are far darker. They'll nod, they'll sympathize, they'll offer hollow words of comfort. But in the back of their minds, they're tallying your flaws, your failures, your weaknesses. Sympathy isn't about understanding, it's about dominance. It's their way of saying, I'm above this, I'm above you. The more you explain, the less they listen. They don't want to hear the depth of your struggle, the intricacies of your pain. They want a story they can simplify, reduce, package neatly into a box labeled, "Not my problem." Your suffering becomes their entertainment, their gossip, their cautionary tale. The world doesn't care about your reasons. It only cares about the results. Explaining your situation changes nothing. Action does. Sympathy offers no solutions, only a fleeting sense of connection that dissolves as soon as the conversation ends. It leaves you emptier than before, stripped of the armor you once wore. You might think sharing your pain makes it lighter, but all it does is scatter the pieces for others to trample on. Pain isn't a currency to trade for understanding. It's a forge to shape your strength. Keep it close. Let it burn. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you regain control. Silence is power. When you hold your pain within, it becomes a weapon, a fire that fuels your next move. The world hates silence because it can't manipulate what it doesn't understand. They want your reasons, your excuses, your justifications. Deny them. Let them wonder, let them guess, let them stew in their ignorance. Their opinions mean nothing when you refuse to give them ammunition. Those who truly care won't need your explanations. They'll see your struggle in your eyes, your strength in your silence. Sympathy seekers are wolves in sheep's clothing, but true allies don't ask for your suffering. They stand beside you without needing to know every detail. Explaining yourself to the wrong people is like throwing pearls to swine. Save your energy for those who see your worth without needing a story. Your situation is your own, a part of the hell you walk through daily. It doesn't need to be understood to be real. Explaining it to others only dilutes its meaning, reduces its power. They don't deserve your reasons. They don't deserve your pain. What they deserve is to see you rise, unapologetic and unyielding, without needing their pity or approval. The world respects those who refuse to explain, who wear their scars like armor instead of exposing them like wounds. Let your actions speak louder than any explanation ever could. Let your silence unsettle them. Remind them that your hell isn't something they can comprehend. They don't need to know your situation. Oversharing is self-sabotage disguised as vulnerability. Every word you give away, every detail you reveal, chips at your core, draining the energy that keeps you steady in the chaos. It's tempting, isn't it? To let people in, to open the doors and show them the rooms you've kept locked. But what do they do once inside? They linger. They pry. They rearrange what isn't theirs to touch. Oversharing gives them the map to your weaknesses, and the world loves nothing more than exploiting a weakness. Stable energy is sacred. It's the foundation that holds you upright, while the world tries to pull you down. Sharing too much cracks that foundation, lets the pressure seep in, allows the opinions of others to muddy your clarity. People love to know your secrets, not out of care, but out of curiosity. They don't understand the cost of what you give away because it doesn't cost them anything, but it costs you everything. Every word spoken is a piece of your stability that you'll never get back. The world thrives on information. It craves your confessions, your fears, your dreams, not because it wants to help, but because it wants to categorize, analyze, weaponize. The more you share, the more power you hand over. Oversharing turns you into a glass house, easy to see through, easy to shatter. And once they have the pieces, they don't return them. They keep them, twisting them into stories that suit their needs, not yours. People will call it transparency, honesty, authenticity. But oversharing is none of those things. It's exposure. It leaves you vulnerable in a world that preys on vulnerability. They say sharing builds trust, but trust isn't built on the ruins of your defenses. Trust is earned, not given away with every detail of your life. Oversharing invites people to meddle in places they don't belong, to draw conclusions about a life they'll never fully understand. Energy leaks are subtle, but deadly. You don't notice the drain until you're empty, until the stable ground beneath you crumbles, and you're left grasping for balance. Oversharing creates those leaks, lets the world siphon off your strength, your focus, your peace. The less they know, the stronger you remain. Mystique isn't a weakness, it's armor. What they can't see, they can't touch. What they don't know, they can't use. Silence is a fortress. Guard your energy like a treasure, because it is. The stable energy you carry is the force that keeps you moving forward. Don't waste it on people who only want to poke holes in your armor. Oversharing gives them ammunition, and the world never runs out of people willing to fire it back at you. Keep your energy locked tight, your foundation unshaken, your focus unbroken. It's not about being secretive. It's about being selective. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your struggles, your triumphs. Oversharing is a currency you can't afford to spend freely. Save it for the rare ones who have proven themselves worthy, who offer stability in return instead of draining yours. Until then, let the world wonder. Let them create their own narratives while you hold the real story close. Stable energy is rare in a world designed to keep you off balance. Don't squander it by offering pieces of yourself to those who only want to take. Protect it. Guard it. Let it grow. The less they know, the more you control. The more you control, the stronger you stand. And strength isn't just about what you carry. It's about what you refuse to give away. Oversharing is an open wound, bleeding out the energy that keeps you steady. Each word you give away, each piece of your story you surrender, is like letting someone step into your mind with muddy boots. They take what you offer and leave their marks, reshaping your thoughts with their opinions, their judgments, their casual cruelty. Stable energy is not infinite. It's precious, a fragile equilibrium. When you overshare, you hand the world the hammer to break it. The world doesn't want to understand you. It wants to dissect you. People love to collect pieces of you like trophies, parading their knowledge of your life as if it gives them power. And in a way, it does. The more they know, the more they own. Oversharing gives them access to your vulnerabilities, your doubts, your secrets. They don't carry them with care. They drop them. They twist them. They weaponize them. Every detail you share becomes a crack in your foundation, a leak in your stability. Silence is misunderstood. They call it secrecy, arrogance, fear. But silence is a shield, an act of rebellion in a world that demands your constant openness. People will pressure you to explain, to share, to confess. Resist it. The less they know, the less they can control. Oversharing hands them the blueprints to your psyche, and the world has no shortage of architects willing to build chaos from your truth. Stable energy leaks through open mouths. Words are power, and power is not meant to be scattered carelessly. Oversharing feels like release, but it's a trap. Every word spoken is a piece of yourself given away, and some people collect those pieces like scavengers. They don't cherish them. They hoard them, waiting for the moment they can use them to tear you down. Oversharing makes you predictable, and predictability is the death of strength. Stable energy thrives on mystery. Keep your thoughts like a locked room, letting only the worthy enter. When you overshare, you give people the keys to your kingdom, and most will not respect its walls. They'll tear down what you've built, plant seeds of doubt in your mind, make you question your worth. Stable energy doesn't leak, it fortifies. And fortifications are strongest when they're impenetrable. The world doesn't need your entire story. It thrives on fragments, on the pieces you reluctantly hand over. They will always want more. If you overshare, you'll find yourself exhausted, drained, and wondering where your stability went. It leaked out with every overshared thought, every confession made to those who didn't deserve it. Stable energy isn't a luxury, it's survival. And survival means keeping some parts of yourself locked away, untouchable. Hurt people. And the ones who seek your secrets are often the ones most ready to use them against you. They don't ask because they care. They ask because they're looking for ammunition. Oversharing is handing them a loaded gun and hoping they don't pull the trigger. But hurt people always pull the trigger. Not because of you, but because of their own brokenness. Protect your stable energy by denying them the chance.
Absence creates value in a way presence never can. When you are always available, always seen, always there, your existence becomes mundane. The world is greedy, it feeds on what's readily given, never questioning the cost. But take yourself away and suddenly you're an enigma, a question unanswered, a void that demands attention. Absence doesn't just make the heart grow fonder, it makes the mind obsess. What is gone is always more fascinating than what remains. Being everywhere for everyone dilutes you. People grow used to your presence, assuming it's their right, their default. But when you step back, you disrupt their reality. They feel the weight of your absence in every quiet moment. That's the power of retreat. It forces others to confront what they've taken for granted. In absence, you become irreplaceable, a void no one else can fill. Value isn't found in what's constant, it's found in what's scarce. Absence whispers a truth that presence shouts over. When you are absent, people remember. Not the trivial things, but the essence of you. Your impact becomes sharper, more defined, because it's no longer clouded by the everyday noise. They replay your words, your actions, your energy, searching for the pieces of you they lost. Absence is a teacher, and its lessons cut deeper than any presence ever could. The world craves novelty but clings to familiarity. When you are constantly present, you become a fixture, background noise. But when you step away, you become the silence they can't ignore. Absence forces people to confront the space you leave behind, to realize the void they never expected to feel. It's a cruel trick, but it's effective. People only value what they fear losing. Absence doesn't mean disappearing. It means choosing when and where to show up. It means controlling the narrative of your presence, dictating its terms. When you are absent, you force others to imagine you, to reconstruct you in their minds. And in their minds, you become larger than life, more significant than any constant presence ever allowed you to be. Absence feeds their curiosity, their need, their hunger. The greatest value isn't in being seen, but in being missed. Absence creates longing, a gnawing need to reconnect, to reclaim what was lost. It's human nature to desire what's out of reach, to chase what steps away. Absence taps into that primal instinct, making you more desirable, more valued, because you are no longer easily accessible. You become a puzzle they are desperate to solve. Absence is power, a quiet dominance over the thoughts of others. It doesn't shout or beg for attention. It demands it through silence. When you are absent, you control the narrative. People wonder where you are, why you left, if you'll come back. Their thoughts orbit around you, even if they pretend they don't care. Absence forces them to care. It leaves an imprint, a shadow that lingers in their minds. Being present all the time is exhausting, a drain on your energy and your value. Absence recharges you, rebuilds you, sharpens your edges. It allows you to step back and see who notices, who cares, who fights to bring you back. Absence reveals the truth, stripping away the pretenses of those who only valued your availability, not your essence. It's a filter separating the genuine from the opportunistic. Absence is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the art of retreating to advance, of stepping back to move forward. In your absence, you let the world recalibrate. Let others recognize the space you filled. It's not about punishing them, it's about reclaiming yourself. In absence, you find your strength, your center, your worth. And in finding it, you make them see it too. They don't know your hell, but absence makes them feel its edges. It reminds them of the pain of losing what they assumed would always be there. Absence is a mirror, reflecting their indifference, their arrogance, their need. In that reflection, you become more than a person. You become a force. They don't know your hell, and in your absence, they realize they never did. Love is given freely, but respect is earned. And there's a savage beauty in that distinction. Love can be handed out like a gift, unconditional and unbroken, no matter how many times it's mishandled. But respect doesn't come so easily. It's forged in fire, shaped by actions, demanded with presence. You can love someone and still find them pitiful, small, weak. Love doesn't require standards, respect does. And that's why it's so dangerous to confuse the two. People crave love, but underestimate the power of respect. They think love will keep the foundations intact, that it will compensate for their failures, their lies, their betrayals. Love will forgive, they think, but they never stop to wonder if respect will. Because it won't. Respect doesn't live in the shadows of pity or tolerance. It doesn't survive on excuses. Love binds, but respect liberates. Without respect, love becomes toxic, a suffocating force that tolerates too much, forgives too often, and demands nothing in return. People mistake this for strength, for nobility, but it's weakness wrapped in virtue. Love without respect is a slow death, a withering of the soul. It keeps you tied to those who drain you, those who diminish you, those who demand your love but do nothing to deserve your admiration. Respect is conditional because it has to be. It demands accountability, integrity, strength. It doesn't yield to tears or excuses. It doesn't care about apologies that come too late. Love says, I care for you no matter what. Respect says, I care for you because of what you stand for. And when the two are in balance, they create something rare, something unbreakable. But without respect, love collapses under the weight of its own generosity. The world teaches you to love unconditionally, but it never tells you that unconditional love is a trap. It keeps you tethered to people who don't deserve your presence, who abuse your kindness, who take and take without ever giving back. Respect is the line you draw, the boundary that says, this far and no further. It's not a punishment, it's a reminder to yourself and to others that your worth is not negotiable. People who demand love without earning respect are thieves, stealing your energy, your time, your dignity. They cling to the idea that love is enough, that it can excuse their failures, their betrayals, their apathy. But love alone is hollow. It's respect that gives it weight, that makes it meaningful. Without respect, love is just a shadow, a vague echo of something that should have been profound but isn't. To respect someone is to see them fully, flaws and all, and still find something admirable, something worthy. It's not blind, like love can be. It's sharp, clear, deliberate. Respect doesn't ignore faults, it acknowledges them and decides whether they are worth tolerating. Love overlooks too much, respect never does. And that's why respect is feared, while love is taken for granted. Love is easy. Respect demands effort. They don't know your hell because they don't respect it. They love you maybe, but they don't understand the weight you carry, the battles you fight, the lines you've drawn in the sand to protect yourself. Love lets them stand beside you without truly seeing you. Respect forces them to look, to understand, to acknowledge the strength it takes to survive what you've endured. And most people aren't willing to do that. Respect doesn't forgive weakness, doesn't excuse mediocrity, doesn't tolerate apathy. It demands presence, effort, a willingness to show up and be counted. Love lets people stay in your life no matter how much damage they cause. Respect cuts them loose when they no longer deserve a place by your side. And in that cutting you find your freedom. Love ties you to others. Respect sets you free. Masking your inner turmoil is an art, one the world forces you to master if you wish to survive. People crave transparency, or so they claim, but what they truly seek is ammunition. Show them your chaos and they won't offer solace. They'll turn it into a spectacle, a weakness they can exploit. Your pain, your struggles, your silent battles, they are yours and yours alone. To expose them is to hand over the keys to your vulnerability, and the world is not gentle with what it doesn't understand. The mask is your shield, your fortress, your weapon. Behind it you can carry the weight of your battles without letting others see the cracks. The mask doesn't betray your fatigue, your fear, your anger. It shows the world only what you allow it to see. Learn to wear it well, make it impenetrable. Let them wonder, let them guess, let them project their own fears onto your unreadable face. The mask makes you untouchable, and untouchable is powerful. The world doesn't want your truth, it wants a story. It wants a character it can define, a narrative it can control. Your mask disrupts that. It forces them to confront the unknown, the uncertainty, the depth they can't comprehend. They'll hate you for it. They'll accuse you of being cold, distant, fake. Let them. The mask isn't for them, it's for you. It's the line that separates their chaos from yours, the barrier that keeps their noise out of your mind. Masking your turmoil doesn't mean denying it. The mask isn't a denial, it's a redirection. It allows you to carry your pain without being consumed by it, to process it on your terms, in your time. The world doesn't deserve your rawness. It hasn't earned the right to witness your struggle. Save that for yourself, for the rare moments when you can remove the mask without fear of judgment. Inner turmoil is a storm, and storms demand control. The mask is your calm eye, the stillness amidst the chaos. It keeps you steady while the winds rage inside. People will tell you to be open, to share, to let it out. But the world isn't built for openness. It preys on it, tears it apart, mocks it. The mask is your rebellion against their expectations, your refusal to let them turn your pain into their entertainment. The beauty of the mask is its adaptability. It can be whatever you need it to be: strength when you feel weak, calm when you're raging, confidence when you're doubting. The mask is your creation, shaped by your will, not the world's demands. Learn to wear it with pride, to wield it as both armor and weapon. Let them see what you want them to see and nothing more. Those who demand authenticity are the same ones who exploit it. The world doesn't deserve your authenticity. It hasn't earned it. The mask is not deception. It's protection. It's the boundary that keeps your inner turmoil sacred, untouched by the hands of those who would use it against you. People don't understand the strength it takes to wear the mask, to hold yourself together when everything inside is fallen apart. But they don't need to understand. The mask forces them to question, to wonder, to respect what they cannot see. It makes you a mystery, a force they can't control. And in that mystery lies your power. The mask doesn't make you less, it makes you more. It amplifies your strength, your resilience, your ability to endure. It reminds the world that some battles are meant to be fought in silence, behind walls no one can breach. Rest your ego. Let it lie dormant for a while, and you'll begin to understand how much damage it has done. The ego is a relentless beast, always clawing for attention, demanding recognition, screaming to be acknowledged. It's the voice in your head that makes every insult feel like a dagger, every failure like an end. But the ego is fragile, weak, brittle. It masquerades as strength, but it breaks under the slightest pressure. Healing requires that you silence it, strip it of its power, and let the chaos settle into calm. The ego isn't your ally, it's a parasite. It feeds on your pain, your pride, your insecurities. It whispers that you must defend yourself, prove yourself, stand tall even when you're crumbling inside. But defending the ego only prolongs the suffering. It builds walls of arrogance, layers of denial, an armor that traps your wounds instead of allowing them to breathe. Healing begins when the ego rests, when the walls come down, when the wounds are exposed to air. To rest your ego is to confront the part of you that resists vulnerability. The ego despises humility, fears introspection, rejects accountability. It's easier to blame the world than to look inward, easier to justify the pain than to sit with it in silence. But healing demands humility. It demands that you face yourself without the ego's interference, without the lies it tells to protect its fragile existence. The ego is not your strength, it's your cage. The world thrives on egos in turmoil. It pits them against each other, feeding on the chaos, watching as pride consumes reason, as arrogance drowns compassion. Resting your ego is rebellion. It's stepping out of the cycle, refusing to play the game. It's saying, I don't need to prove myself to anyone, and meaning it. The ego wants to fight, to win, to dominate. Healing wants peace. When the ego rests, the mind clears. The endless chatter of self-importance fades, leaving space for clarity, for truth. You see your pain for what it is, not what the ego has twisted it into. You begin to understand that healing isn't about proving strength, it's about finding balance. Resting the ego isn't surrender, it's strategy. It's pulling back to regain control, to heal from the inside out. The ego fears rest because rest makes it irrelevant. Without its constant noise, its demands, its insecurities, you begin to see how small it truly is. You see the world for what it is, not what your ego has made it out to be. The ego wants you to believe that everything is personal, that every slight, every loss, every rejection is an attack on your worth. But when it rests, you realize how little of it ever mattered. Healing requires space, and the ego takes up too much of it. It leaves no room for reflection, for acceptance, for growth. Resting the ego is an act of creation. It creates room for you to rebuild, to realign, to remember who you are beneath the layers of pride and pretense. It allows you to move forward not as a wounded warrior, but as someone who has faced their pain and come out stronger. Resting the ego is painful, paradoxically so. It feels like losing a part of yourself, like surrendering in a battle you've been fighting for years. But it's not a loss, it's a release. It's letting go of the weight you've been carrying, the weight the ego insisted you needed. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. The ego resists, but healing demands it. Defiance against the world that thrives on your turmoil, against the voice in your head that keeps you trapped forever.